Pretty Stone is entertaining to watch, but it's one of those films, especially made for TV films, that doesn't have much in the way of staying power, never mind replayability. To summarize the film, Stella is a bit of a slacker, and she is a definite stoner. Someone who sees 420 as an actual holiday, even if it's not a federal holiday. And even with her being a bit of a slacker and everything, she does have dreams, she does have ambitions, and that is to own her own type of smoke shop out in California. And as for her making progress toward that goal, that's not necessarily happening. On the other end, we have Darcy, who, unlike Stella, is very high strung to the point of being anxiety ridden, but she wants to be a manager of some kind. But because of not only her anxiety, but also some of her insecurities, she struggles a lot. These two originally knew each other from working at this same beauty shop where they both do hair and makeup, but they're more so enemies than friends or even cordial. And that's mainly because whenever Stella gets to go home because she fakes sick or something, and that means Darcy has more work to do. And with that, eventually there comes a point where Darcy makes such a huge mess that she gets fired, and she tries to get revenge on Stella. But in the process of getting revenge on Stella, which includes flushing $20,000 worth of pot, she ends up not only messing up Stella's life, but her own. And because Stella is that type of woman, she makes sure that she drags Darcy to every single person she has to deal with in order to make sure that it's very clear that she's the one who messed up. And yes, I was holding the pot, but she's the one that flushed it down the toilet. Which leads to a whole bunch of eccentric characters being met in a journey that multiple times could have ended in someone getting hurt or even death. So the first highlight is just the chemistry between the leads, and that's because when it comes to Pretty V and Paris, there's something there. Not romantic, even though Paris' character is a lesbian in it, but there's something about the opposites attracts when it comes to Stella and Darcy, and maybe also perhaps the perception she may have of Pretty V versus Paris that works together so well that it really makes you wish that they were working with a better script and a better story to really hone in on that. With that said, even though the script isn't the best, at the same time it's comical and even likable to a point. I mean, by no means is this gonna be like How High or Half Baked or any type of big time stoner comedies like what are those two dudes? Like, it's not going to be of the ilk of Cheech and Chong when you're expecting more movies to come out of this. But even with that said, there are moments that make you laugh, and I would specifically say when it comes to Sky Townsend as Layla, Scene Stealer multiple times will make you crack up, and it ultimately, I would say at times, if it wasn't for the fact that Paris and Pretty V have good chemistry, Sky Townsend could have easily stole this movie and made it definitely something that's about her, and everybody else is just people you got to deal with. So when it comes to an on-the-fence topic, the main issue for us is that this film feels very bloated. Now, you could say it's bloated for the fact that it has all these wilding out alumni from Just Hilarious to DC Young Fly in it. You can say that when it comes to including, what's the lady's name from P-Valley? When it comes to having Brandy Evans, and then on top of that having Candy Barrett, you may know from The Chi. At a certain point, it just feels like we're gonna get as many recognizable names who aren't too expensive to get on this project so that it can draw some type of audience, and no one really feels properly utilized to me. DC Young Fly only has like one or two scenes, but he's pretty much being DC Young Fly and not even like the funniest version of DC Young Fly. And the same goes to Just Hilarious when it comes to her part in this. And that same can be said for Candy Barrett and anybody else you mentioned, where really the only person who kind of does their usual stick but really is good at it is Sky Townsend. And I would submit maybe when it comes to Brandy Evans as TikTok, that is her character's name, she does give you something a little bit unexpected, but at the same time, I know her almost strictly for being in P-Valley, so that's why I was kind of appreciating what she gave in this film. But otherwise, honestly, this seems like a project where because maybe one of their friends or someone they was on to work with on a certain level was directing, writing, a producer, whatever. That's why they're in, rather than this is the type of script that really seems to be able to serve their talents or even just what they're good at. So overall, Pretty Stone is a serviceable comedy that may lack reasons for repeat viewing, but you cannot deny that if nothing else is on, it's a decent film to watch.